think she's the military one, if I remember right. There should be 2 females and 3 males.
So it's just always interesting to me that who decides to jump on it and who just kind of.
Absolutely.
So, and who uses their professional email and who uses their private one.
Yeah. That is always
They're
telling.
doing well Friday.
Good evening. I'd like to call the meeting of Community Unit School District 300 Board of Education on this evening, Tuesday, August 11th, 2020. Dr. Scarpino, please call the roll.
Zettler.
Here.
Stevens. Scarpino present. Miller.
Present.
McNicholas.
Present.
Lamarca.
Present.
Fiorentino. 6 members are present, ma'am.
Thank you. Please stand.
Thank you.
That's the way to start.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's the way to start a meeting. I love it. Perfect timing. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yep. 23 years I've been on the board, and my family still doesn't know this is not the time to call me. All right. Yeah, well, there's a reason for that. All right. I had no changes on the agenda. Anyone else changes? Okay, with that, we are on item number 5. I need a motion to approve the agenda. So move.
Second.
Dr. Scarpino, please call the roll.
Miller.
Aye.
Lamarca.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Stevens.
Aye.
McNicholas.
Aye.
And Scarpino, aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we are on item number 6, superintendent reports. Mr. Hyde.
Yes, ma'am. Madam President, members of the board, members of the committee and staff, thank you for your being here this evening. At this time, we will begin the superintendent's report. Are we going to drop the middle? I can't see the. Thank you. You're giving me way too much credit without my glasses on to see that side TV. I do believe first up is Ms. Susan Harkin, who will provide the initial tentative budget update.
Good evening, Superintendent Hyde, board members, staff members, and community. Tonight, we are here to present the FY 2020-2021 tentative education plan and budget. As you recall, we have a process that we need to follow that's outlined per the state Illinois code that we need to follow every year when we adopt our budget. In October, we reviewed the 2019 tentative levy and preliminary financial data with you at that point. And in November of 2019, you adopted the 2019 levy. In May of 20, we reviewed and updated the financial data and the 2021 budget request. And at that meeting, you also approved the budget request that we'll be presenting to you tonight. Tonight, we will be asking you to vote on the authorization of the 2021 education plan and tentative budget. That you will also authorize us to place a public notice in our newspapers about the hearing that will be held on the September 22nd board meeting and to display our budget. All tonight will do is just you'll approve that budget. If there's any questions or comments that you have or anybody in the community has, we will have a budget hearing at that meeting to hear any comments about the budget, and then we'll vote on the adoption of the budget. And it will be on display, so if anybody has any questions between now and that point, they can certainly reach out to us as well. And then after that date, we file it with all of the required entities. This is just an overall, was presented to you this last year of the 1920 operating fund budget. We had approximately $293 million in revenues. Overall, we had about a $3.7 million revenue over expenditures, with the transfer to our capital plan that equated to about a 1 million revenue over expenditures, leaving us at 39% fund balance percentage, which is our expenditures over our revenues. We'd like to highlight at this point in time, where do we receive our revenue and how do we spend the money we receive? Approximately 65% of our budget comes from property taxes. That's the big blue section that's up there. The purple and the light blue represent our state revenue, which represents, and unfortunately, Mr. Hyde, I'm where you are right now, cannot read that, but it's approximately, I believe, 23%. We get federal revenue, we get some local revenue, and we also get money from the EDA, which is the smallest percentage up there. How we spend our money, we spend approximately 48% on salaries. The next largest pieces that come together are our benefits and our health insurance benefits, of approximately, I think, 13%. Purchase services represents the money we actually spend on our food service, and our transportation company. We spend a small percentage on supplies. We have capital outlay, which represents the improvements we've been putting into our buildings. We do pay for outplaced tuition for our students that receive services outside of the district, as well as our debt service payments that we make. And then we also break out that we spend 2.9% of our overall budget on the charter school. These were the education plan assumptions that developed the budget for this year. For revenue for property taxes, we're anticipating a CPI of 1.4%. This current year represents half of what that would be, which was the CPI was 2.3%, and this budget also represents a 0.5% for CPI for next year because we do not expect it to be that large. We expect new property of a blended 2-year average of $42.5 million. We know that this year is $25 million, and we are still seeing growth in construction taking place, so I believe that's a fairly representative number of what's still in front of us. The years after that may be different. At this point, we know that our evidence-based funding should be equal to the prior year. We have not received that final number, so by the time we present the next budget, that number may have changed a little bit based upon our student enrollment, which may have some slight impact to that number, but it will not go down. It may only go up. Straight transportation, it is the prior year, but we just found out based upon turning in our claim that it could be slightly higher. However, if the state does need to prorate that line item, the prior year number may be the most accurate. We have 2 line items that are on the revenue and the expenditures that represents FEMA and CARES revenue and also our COVID-19 expenditures. Those amounts are equal. We know for sure for CARES we're getting $2.4 million in CARES money from the federal Family First and the CARES Act for the COVID, and we have already turned in 1 claim for FEMA reimbursements in the amount of what we would expect to receive, $1 million. And we have offsetting COVID expenditures at $3.4 million, and that will be shown in detail in a future slide. Other state and federal revenue are flat, and interest income is at 10% of the prior year. Interest rates are significantly lower. We're down in about 0.2%, and prior to all last year, we were over 2% for our interest rate. So we are going to see a significant decrease in interest income. Salaries represent what was per our negotiated agreements. Tuition, insurance, and transportation are projected at a 5% increase. Our charter school tuition is lower due to lower enrollment, projected at $848,000 decrease. And again, as indicated before, our COVID expenditures, which will be detailed in a later slide, represent $3.4 million of this year's budget. Budget requests, which just represent things we believe are necessary to provide the education we think is appropriate for our students. And you did approve these at the May board meeting. These represent 2 teachers for our blended expansion programs. It also includes 1.65 in ESL teachers at the middle school, secretarial support based upon student enrollment, bilingual pairs at the high school to support education for our bilingual students at the high school, an attendance manager due to enrollment increases, 1 full-time substitute to support our preschool program at DeLacy, and 1 dean to support our students. Overall, that's 10.58 FTE of $629,000 that are factored into the 2021 budget. As I shared with the Finance Committee earlier tonight, we did have additional positions that were listed and requested previously due to what we expected for enrollment growth. And at this point, we do have a decline in enrollment, so there is no positions up there for additional special education teachers or classroom instructional teachers based upon our class size limits and averages that we aim for. The FEMA and CARES dollar use. Again, this is the 3.4 that we mentioned in the previous slide. Of the 3.4 million, 1.6 million was approved and allocated for mental health social workers, behavioral therapists, and mental health counselors to support the social and emotional needs of our students who have been learning through COVID and feeling that we need to support those students now that that we're in this type of education, and that was absolutely the appropriate use for these dollars. We also have a placeover of $115,000 for our CARES allocation for non-public schools. That is pending and as a placeholder and is still waiting clarification from the state of Illinois, but it is broken out for them based upon the federal government requirements, but that still is being evaluated. And then the last portion that we have listed is $1.7 million for protective equipment and e-learning support as we continue to educate under COVID-19. So overall, the first portion of the two blue bands represent the FY19 ending fund balance, the budgeted fund balances as of 6/30/20, and then the green, between the blue and the green, represent a breakout of our overall 2021 budget by fund for all of our operating funds. We're expecting a slight surplus in our education fund of $16,000. In our O&M fund, we have a slight surplus of $1.9 million. IMRF has a revenues under expenditures, but part of that is a planned decision because we are starting to accumulate a fund balance there to start spending down that fund balance to bring that amount down for that fund. Same thing with tort. We have a slightly revenues under expenditures, but that's being offset by the fund balances that have accumulated. As we discussed, the biggest portion that's been happening with working cash in comparison to the previous year, we received $1 million in revenue. This year we're anticipating $94,000. Most of what revenue is accrued in the working cash is the interest, and so that difference is the reduction in interest income due to where the interest rates are at. Overall, we're expecting about a $1.6 million revenues over expenditures. As I shared with the Finance Committee earlier today, that's a good placeholder for us because that does incorporate what we expect in relationship to the expenses we'll have for the COVID-19. And if we were not to receive the reimbursement of the $1 million that we're projecting from FEMA, we could cover that cost through that surplus that's presented to you. So we are, I'm hopeful that we've turned in our claim for the FEMA money early, but if for some reason we aren't able to get that allocation, we still should protect the district to make sure that we aren't spending fund balances to do that. So the operating fund is listed there. We have our debt service fund, which represents our bond and interest payments for our debts that we have for the building improvements we've made. And just timing, projected revenues for that fund are $27.3 million, and expenditures are $26.8 million for a slight surplus of $477,000, but that's more to timing than anything else. Expecting revenues of $4.1 million for our capital projects through EDA and our impact fees that we receive. We have $12.1 million that are represented for our capital projects that have already been approved. And spending, and then the net of the difference between that is being offset through the previous fund balance of $17.4 million. I did note that as we, in our Finance Committee meeting, the detailed reports for our capital projects does not match what's up there, so that will have to be rectified. We do have a number that needs to be adjusted in the detailed budget that is not appropriate, so we'll have that adjustment. So overall, we still expect for our operating funds to be at a increase in our overall fund balance from 107 to 109. And again, the deficit spending that's occurring for debt service and capital projects relates to the fact that just spending down from our fund balance or offsetting through future revenue. At this time of the year, we just like to review the district's overall financial information to our taxpayers so that they understand how we're using the funds that we're entrusted to on an annual basis. This slide compares the District of 300's operating expense per pupil in comparison to the state of Illinois. District 300 is reflected in the red bar up there. The blue bar represents the state of Illinois. We, in 2018-19, which was the most recent information we have, spent $11,963, and the state is at $17,000, I think $784. So the difference between those two numbers is about $1,800 per student. When I multiply that times the number of students we have, that difference is $37.8 million that we don't use for educating our kids in comparison if we spent the state average. So I think that's just a real good data point. Some cases it's a good data point because it shows our taxpayers that we're very frugal and use our money wisely. On the other hand, with $37.8 million, we certainly could do a lot more things for our students, but I think we do a great job with the dollars that we're entrusted to and continue to work to improve our education system with the dollars we have. This slide represents how does District 300 compare to our Kane County peer districts that are belonging to the ROE. Again, it's based upon FY19 operating expense per pupil. The red bar represents District 300. That number goes up to $14,000 for Geneva. Consolidated 301 is slightly lower than us, but not by much. If we spend as much as Geneva does and multiply that times the number of students we have, we would be spending $46.7 million more to educate a District 300 student. And again, same thought process. We could certainly do more for our kids and certainly would love to do more for our kids. But again, I think we do a great job with the dollars we are provided with to support our student needs. And then the last slide is just how does the district tax rate compare to our Kane County school districts. The red bar again is District 300. We aren't the lowest, we aren't the highest, but certainly, we're proud of the fact that the overall burden to our taxpayers is lower than most of our other school districts in Kane County School District. I think that just again speaks to how we fiscally manage our dollars and do the best job we can and still provide an excellent education to our students and be responsible to our taxpayers during that time. So I'm willing to answer any questions, but tonight you will be asked to vote on the authorization of the 2021 education plan tentative budget, that you authorize us to put notice in the newspaper that we will be holding a public hearing on September 22nd, and that we will have our budget on display for anybody that would like to review it in detail.
Thank you, Ms. Harkin.
Thank you. I do want to just reiterate one thing that you had said, that this was previously presented to the Finance Committee earlier today, so this information is not all new. It's already gone through a lot of questions and vetting out. This is part of, within your timeline, the process of presenting it to the full board and to the public. Okay.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Mr. Opels. Mr. Opels will join us this evening and provide the board and the community with a comprehensive summary of our completed summer capital projects.
Ooh, thanks for wiping it down. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is always a great presentation for the year, although Jason gets upset if I go over 10 minutes, so I'm going to do 11. We're going to summarize all the great work our teams did this summer for our capital projects. We're just going to jump right into it, okay? I guess I need glasses now, too. This room didn't change, did it, since we've been gone? Okay. So just a quick overview of some of the things that we did. District-wide, we did some concrete replacement, seal coating, tuck pointing, keyless fob entry. DeLacy, we had the 4 classroom addition and the parking lot expansion. Carpentersville Middle School, we replaced the roof there. Hampshire Elementary, gym flooring. Lakewood Elementary, upper level flooring and blinds. Sleepy Hollow Elementary, classroom and corridor flooring. We basically replaced the carpet at that school. Lake and Hills Elementary, we did dry fall paint on the ceiling classrooms, new lighting, flooring replacement, corridor lighting. Dundee Highlands, classroom and corridor flooring. Newbert Elementary, classroom, corridor, multi-purpose room flooring and cafeteria flooring. Hampshire Middle School bleacher replacement and Hampshire Middle School toilet room replacements, classroom, ceilings, flooring, and lighting.
It's a picture over at Westfield, some of the concrete that we replaced there. Again, another excellent contractor this summer, really did a great job. In the CFOC, I wish I had some pictures of before because it probably would have driven it home a lot better. This is Dundee Highlands. We're very proud of this project. For those that have been around for a while, that's a handicap ramp off of the, I'm going to say, east side of the building. It was time to get that done. Excellent. Karen, the staff, everybody very happy about how this went. We also did the sidewalk leading up to the stairs there as well, which was failing. Seal coating, I don't have wonderful pictures for that. Half the district got seal coated, the other half will get done next year. Again, excellent contractor, they were very quick, efficient, really good reviews on them. Tuck pointing, we focused on this exact wall at Westfield. Our focus of our tuck pointing will continue to focus on the Westfield campus, as well as anything that comes up throughout the district. The DeLacy addition. So this is the back part where we added the 4 classrooms on. This is just a couple before pictures here. This is during laying the foundation, concrete going down, vapor barriers. It's the excavation of the parking lot and drainage system that went in. New parking lot on the left, finished product on the right. It's not a great picture. I promise to send some more around. This is the interior of DeLacy as it's being built. It is the purple section of the wing as denoted by the principal, so that's why you'll see a lot of that here. Beautiful flooring that goes in throughout, and then matching the rest of the building exactly. This is a roof replacement drone shot for Carpentersville Middle School. So I added this because this was taken in July, and at this time, like 3,300 square feet, or 620 square feet was done. This is like 50-something% of the project. So you can see in the areas that are marked done, it's very clear that is new roofing. And I put this up to show you, our dollars are going to the right spots. You can very easily see some of the deteriorating roof in other places. New gym floor at Hampshire Elementary. The Dr. Scarpino Gymnasium.
Yes. With the whipper ball.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Lakewood. Upper level flooring and blinds. This will complete this school. So we did the upper floor, the lower floor, and all of the toilet rooms. So we are finished over there with this portion of it. So as you can see, just some before pictures of the classrooms at Lakewood. Is the upper level flooring, some abatement going on, and then that on the right-hand side, if you're looking, so I guess it'd be any way you're looking at it. The right-hand side will be the cafeteria. It's the new flooring that went in. Cafeteria is on the right-hand side. This is our pretty standard, this is our classroom throughout the district now, luxury vinyl tile. So it's repetitive, but it looks very, very nice, especially compared to what was in there before. And then just another shot of the cafeteria flooring. Sleepy Hollow, classroom and corridor flooring, some before pictures, some during, and then obviously after. Nice pattern that goes throughout, also matches the cafeteria we did a couple years ago. And then here's kind of the final product with some wax down and the cove base up and everything. Very, very nice. And again, if you can think back, those of you that have been in and out of there, this replaces the carpeting that was in most of the school. And toilet rooms we did last summer, just as a refresher there. These are the classrooms, again, more of the same, repetitive but nice, clean, easy to maintain, easy to fix if something happens. It's been going well. So this is Lake in the Hills. This is a true before picture. This is during construction, and then this is going to be your finished product in the hallways, the classrooms. We also replaced the gym flooring there, the same as Hampshire Elementary School. This is before. Nice and clean after. No more carpeted gym there. Perry Elementary, classroom ceilings, lighting, staff lounge. Some before pictures. Why am I showing you the showers? This is the area was Perry, was it a high school or a middle school?
Middle school.
Middle school. Okay, so The middle school showers were taken out of Perry so we could expand the staff lounge. Some plumbing needed to be rerouted, some teams working on that and the flooring. More plumbing going in, walls getting built, HVAC being put in. And then here's your final product specifically in the staff lounge.
That turned out nice.
We also updated the toilet room in the staff lounge as well. Turned out great. Very appropriate project. They had made do and not complained for a very, very long time, and very happy with how this turned out. New lighting in the classrooms. There's Dundee Highlands now, so same thing. If you can think back, carpeting, throughout. This is during. This is after, again, kind of our standard classroom. And then this is the hallways. Looks really, really great. It matches the other side of it. So like 3/4 of Highlands was carpet on one side of it. There was an expansion or something. I don't remember, but it matches exactly. Same thing with Newbert. Really attack some of the classrooms with the carpeting in it and the hallways with the carpeting in it. These are your before pictures. Again, after our standard classroom. This is downstairs, their cafeteria. Before, during, a lot of work. This is after, again, standard classroom, nice, clean, waxed hallways. And this is your cafeteria downstairs. Hampshire Middle School, bleachers, again, this is a before picture. They are weathered. They've been there for a long time. This is during the replacement. And then finally, here's your finished product.
Nice.
Hampshire Middle School, we also took the 6th grade wing classrooms, just a one-off sort of situation with ceilings and carpeting and things like that didn't necessarily go with the rest of the building, and there was concerns about it and needed to come out. These are bathrooms before, again, last of the schools on that side that needed new bathrooms. You can see the condition before. Some work in the hallway to reroute plumbing lines and everything. And this is your classroom after. This is your bathroom after. We did some internal projects as well. Painted the auditorium at Jacobs. We put new custom coat racks up at Sleepy Hollow. We renovated the media center at Dundee Middle School. We also added 2 new offices and conference rooms for counselors at Dundee Middle School. Plexiglass dividers. We custom made the one out front here, and we'll replicate that across a couple other buildings that have the need. Dundee Crown High School, we replaced the carpeting in the annex upstairs. Entrance mat carpeting we installed district-wide at many of our schools. Hampshire Middle School, the old weight room was demoed, and we started the renovation. Obviously, with things going on, other things took priority. We'll finish that up here before the kids get back. Wright Elementary, we renovated the STEM room. Lake in the Hills, built a shed, put in some drainage, did a curb for them. Here's the after product of Jacobs High School. The entire thing was painted by our staff. I think it looks tremendous. Sleepy Hollow, these are some of the bookshelves that are going up. Again, please forgive me, some of these weren't finished as I was putting this together last week. Dundee Middle School, here's the media center renovation before and after. Really think the guys did a great job on that. Here are some of the space conversions into new offices there for these social workers. There are 10 offices here and 2 conference rooms. This is going to be inside of each of the offices and conference rooms. So nice carpet, good paint, good lighting, electrical. They should be able to really get that one-on-one time with students that is certainly bubbling up throughout every school district and family, truly throughout the nation. It's our plexiglass barrier we custom built out front. I think the guys did a great job on that. Dundee Crown High School, here's the annex carpeting upstairs we put in. We matched it exactly to the new carpet we put in the media center last year or the year before. I forget, they all run together at this point. And this is the entrance mat carpeting we put in our schools throughout the districts. More durable, holds up, looks nicer, looks cleaner. This is specifically Carpentersville Middle School that, in my opinion, needed it the most.
Absolutely.
Hampshire High School is a weight room renovation. Lockers came out, cleaned up the walls, bricked up this and that, put some new lighting in, and again, we'll finish as we come. Wright Elementary, this isn't a wonderful picture, but I mean, just picture carpeting throughout that is kind of ripping, some old built-in sort of stations and things like that. And as education changes, especially as it pertains to STEM, so must our classrooms, our physical spaces. So I'm glad that we're able to do some things like that that can help with that. Lake in the Hills, cut in some drainage, cut in some curbs, and my guys built a custom shed for them over there. They're really proud of that. I think they did a great job. The other one was just rotting and falling apart. A few other things. Last two slides. Hampshire Middle School got new elevator doors, hardware, pistons, and controls. District-wide, we installed 1,068 paper towel dispensers, 1,506 hand sanitizer dispensers. District-wide, we continue with our LED parking lot light installations internally. New custodial cleaning processes throughout the district. Over 400 pieces of HVAC equipment and coils were cleaned and PM'd throughout the district this summer. Currently, as we sit last week, we are right around 1,200 deliveries throughout the district, and we're replacing 103 water fountains in the district with bottle fillers. As of last week, we had done 43 of them. By the end of this week, we'll be about 75% done. Hope to wrap up next week. That is not me. So, thank you. They're not here, but I would be doing a disservice to the great partners we have with Leggett and Dewberry, and well as LAMP, that help facilitate a lot of these things, and also the CFOC board. You guys trust us to do these things. Susan Harkin to help drive these projects through and push me to do things I don't think I can do. And it's a great process all around. It's been very successful for the last 3 years I've been here, and I'm looking forward to more, because this presentation is always good.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And again, just to restate what you had said earlier, that this has been presented and worked along with the CFOC, the Facilities Oversight Committee. But you're right, this is always the fun one. The disappointing part is that we don't see the kids in the new school.
Yeah.
The positive of that is you have a few more weeks to get a few more things done.
Yeah. So I think I agree with you 100%, President Miller, and it's just at this point, whenever we can get kids back to face-to-face instruction, hopefully they feel a lot better coming into these new spaces than they would have coming back to the old spaces.
Yeah, it'll be even more exciting when they come back in. Yes, you and your team, I'm always amazed that everything that you get done, and I'm thrilled that we do so much more of the work in-house with our staff. So thank you to you and your team for everything that you've done this summer.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mrs. Etler?
Yeah. As I told you earlier at the meeting, this is my favorite meeting of the year because it's almost like Christmas, seeing what got done over the summer and all the new stuff that's going to go into schools for the kids. We trust you because you do a great job, Dan. And I've only been here a couple of years, but I'm always amazed at how much you guys can accomplish as a team with what you have to work with. And on top of it, for the taxpayers of this district, know that this team is saving us significant money by doing it in-house and having fun doing it and enjoying it doing it. So
thank you very much. We do have a great team. I'm just the fall guy. Everybody else does the work. I just get the brunt of the bad news. We have a great team, a lot of talent, a good culture, which I value more than almost anything, and I'm happy with how things are going. I'm glad that you all are happy with it as well.
Shows that when you like what you do, great things can happen. I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thank you.
Mr. Parisi, I'm going to ask you to go ahead. I want to culminate the presentation so we're not passing the controller back and forth repeatedly. So Dan, if you'll wipe that off, and then Mr. Parisi, if you'll just skip forward a few slides to your presentation. Mr. Parisi is here to talk about our curriculum updates in his area.
Thank you for wiping that down for me.
Keep going. There you go, sir.
All right. Good evening, Mr. Hyde and Board of Education. Thank you for having me tonight. I want to give you a little update on our athletic strength and conditioning course and material recommendations. So we've had our strength and conditioning class in our PE for a while. What we have been looking for is a program that would support, track, and maximize our students' athletic strength and conditioning development. The program would be utilized in both physical education and courses and athletic programs at the high school level. Proposals were evaluated. The committees consisted of athletic directors, myself, other central office staff, teachers, coaches, and all the vendors presented to the committee. Scoring matrices were utilized to evaluate the products. So our athletic strength and conditioning class is a course that takes place during PE, and essentially what it is that we're trying to maximize our students' time while they're exercising. The goal of that class is for athletic performance and focusing on improving your athletic performance for after school. A big part of that is we don't want our students spending extra time at practice doing just basic functional strength training and athletic performance development. We want the after-school time to be more sport-specific in whatever sport endeavor they choose. In PE, they can use that time to then develop their own physical abilities and also learn what we're doing and how your programming is going to apply to how you can keep yourself healthy for the rest of your life. After reviewing all the vendors, we landed as a team on Platform. What Platform is going to allow us to now do is data collect that shows live, current, and historical growths of our students as they work out. So we can see as a student comes in as a freshman, how they continue to work and develop and grow, and as they're a senior, what kind of growth they've maintained and had. Shareable data with teacher and coaches. A current obstacle and barrier we face is that we have multi-sport athletes, and sometimes coaches are competing over the same athlete. And what this program allows them to do is put a functional fitness program in that's specific to the athlete, not necessarily specific to the sport, yet it allows both coaches to collaborate digitally with what's best for that workout, for that student, and maximizing their potential. Customizable workout ability for the teacher, the athletic coach, the strength coach, assistant coach, athletic trainers. This program will allow, if a student's coming back from an injury, we can supplement the program for that student specifically. If it's an ACL tear, they can do a supplemental workouts that recover faster or prevent additional injuries. It provides video workout index or exemplar video demonstrations. It's preloaded workouts with possible resources for both the student that is just interested in general fitness, but also a student who's sport-specific focused. It allows digital display in our workouts and in our weight rooms. It allows students communication capabilities where just even if the coach isn't present, they're still going to be able to communicate, monitor, and evaluate their students' and athletes' workouts. The workouts are digital, and there's leaderboards that allow tracking for internal team competition, internal period competitions, or even someday maybe a school weightlifting challenge if that's what we wanted to do with that, but allows a lot of different options with us. So the next step is that these materials will be available for 30 days for public review, and then we will be looking for a formal request for the approval of these resources in September.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from board members? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
Mr. Parisi, if you'll bring that controller to me, I'd appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you wiping it down. Board members, members of the community, and staff, as part of my presentation this evening, I wanted to provide an update as to the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. So the hiring update for this position, as I shared previously, we had a total of 60 applicants. Of those, you have to go back through and confirm that the applications are indeed completed. Based off that initial review, we were down to around 46 completed applications. The initial screening conducted by me and others brought that number of candidates down to 20. We were looking for people who had explicit experience in these areas, demonstrated experience, and or experience in a leadership role, which did disqualify a number of submissions. So again, dropping it down to 20. We went back through the applicant pool one more time. It was narrowed down to 10, at which point I asked Ms. Keys to begin scheduling those. Several people responded that they had already accepted other positions, or they withdrew once they were scheduled. One withdrew because they felt it was not an appropriate time for them to transition or potentially transition away from their school district. I can completely understand that, having been in that situation not too long ago myself with here. So we had a final of 7 candidates who were screened and interviewed. So the level 1 interviews were conducted, and 5 candidates will move forward. Those 5 candidates were informed. They are scheduled for their second interview with the committee. The committee is inclusive of district staff, union leadership, and community partners. So we have representatives from our faith-based organizations, external partners, we have internal staff, we have union representation, and that's important because this is a systemic issue that we have to address, and so we wanted good representation there. The committee then will come back to me and provide me with their evaluation of each of their 5 candidates, and then I will bring a final candidate in for one final conversation and then extend an offer to the candidate. Again, that second level 2 interviews will be concluded by the end of this week, barring any unforeseen weather events or anything else that may temporarily derail us. Again, once hired, the director will initiate the formation of the committee. So when we first presented our next steps several months ago, or a little over 2 months ago, the focus was on making sure that this was beyond just a race issue, that this was actually addressing all isms, right? So gender bias, religious bias, sexual orientation bias. We wanted to make sure that if we're really going to address the topic of diversities, or the topics of diversity, equity, inclusion, we're going to be inclusive of all aspects of our students and their community and their interests and needs. And I think that that's a really balanced approach for us moving forward, because the needs of our students, the interests of our students have shifted significantly over the years. There is a stakeholder application, so the director will initiate this process. The application is actually completed. I will review it with the director. Once they're hired and have accepted the position, have transitioned, we will release that application district-wide. They're looking for parents and community members, obviously, to apply, very similar to Community Leadership Academy. The focus, again, is on establishing a community that's diverse and reflective of the district's demographics and focus areas. So I want to take some time just for a moment to just clarify that further. We're not looking for a committee that simply mirrors our demographics by race. We're looking for a committee that mirrors the demographics and topics and areas of interest and focus areas that we need to address. So it is inclusive of race, but it's also inclusive of other topics specific of interest. So applicants will be asked to rank order priorities that they feel are important, what they can lend themselves to supporting as part of the committee. So whether that's supporting our gay and lesbian students, whether it's supporting transgender students, whether it's supporting our students based off gender bias, perceived gender bias, whether it's based off race, whether it's based off socioeconomics, they will have the opportunity to disclose that and rank order those so that we get a really strong representation across multiple topics across the whole district. We want it to be truly representative and not have it skewed to one topic or another. The director will then work with the committee. As outlined previously, this will be included in our strategic plan goals and initiatives. They will develop target areas, and then each quarter, as we present out, the board has become and the community has become accustomed to our videos and our updates that we provide that highlight the progress being made to satisfy or address all of the action steps and strategies. This committee and this director will explicitly report out on these topic areas. So there is both a high level of transparency, which is incredibly important. I am a firm believer in a strategic plan. As you know, our strategic plan is goal-driven and measurable. It's objective-oriented. I think that provides a high level of clarification for our community to basically say, what do those people do in that building? If you want to know what we do on any given day, watch a board meeting, but more importantly, look at the strategic plan, because we outline all of our major initiatives and focus areas in there. In addition to a high level of transparency, there's also a high level of accountability. We never want to find ourselves in a position where we come before the board and report that we're not making progress on our strategic plan goals. In some instances, we may have erred. We may have made an error assuming we could move faster in a particular area, not having realized that there's a historical issue that's serving as a barrier to our progress. And so anytime that's happened in the past, we come back to the board and amend the strategic plan with new goals, new objectives, new timelines. That's not to avoid having anything show up on our dashboard in the red. It's simply a matter of fact. It's a matter of truth. But this, again, this director will present probably with a handful of committee members, just as the rest of the staff present. They will provide an update as to the progress being made in each one of the target areas that they've identified. As I interviewed candidates, and many of them asked me what the target objectives were. I said, here are some generic ones, but please understand, this is not my interest as far as I'm not driving your initiatives from my office. I will support those initiatives fully. However, I believe it's the committee's job and the director's job to gain that insight and develop those initiatives themselves. My role then subsequently becomes to support that and ensure that they have no barriers to their progress. So they will provide regular updates each quarter, just as my team does. The second thing that they will take on, almost from their immediate arrival in the district, is the board is very much aware of the fact that Algonquin Middle School has a mascot that we can no longer sustain. I have made countless and repeated efforts to reach out to the various federal and state agencies to see if there was one of our native tribes that would partner with us. They've been incredibly unresponsive. I really don't know the reasoning why. But at this point, I quite frankly, in order for us to be in compliance, we're going to have to move away and move to adopting a new mascot. Whether or not somebody has, and please understand, just for this transparency again with our community, this is not a PC issue for our school board or our district. This is not about political correctness. This is a new law that we must adhere to in the state of Illinois. We will honor and respect the history of Algonquin Middle School. It was my sincere hope, because I don't believe that just adopting a new mascot addresses the underlying issue. If the underlying issue is that our Native American peoples have been have suffered and have not been given the due respect that they deserve, I don't believe that simply abandoning a mascot and adopting another one educates our students or our community on the values that our Native American tribe people brought to our local community. I just think that that's, quite honestly, I think it's short-sighted. But in the absence of being able to support and work and partner with a local tribal group, we have no choice but to change our mascot. And so, again, we will give honor and respect to the current mascot, but we will work with the Algonquin community to identify viable options moving forward. It is my goal and the goal of this director to bring a final summary. They will be involved in meeting with students, with staff, with community members, with former alumni, with village representatives. They will do all the historical analysis. They will come forward, work with Mr. McGinn and others, in particular Dr. Schumacher, who oversees middle schools, to develop not only a timeline for those meetings, but also a viable timeline in which they can bring a final recommendation to the board. And then the hope, again, would be to have that happen in January or February so that we can ramp up to address and remove any of the old mascot imagery from our campus and update all their letterhead and all of those things so that we can make that transition with our students and our families. I will continue to work with the school and with our director, Mr. Mark Wetzel, to address this through the social sciences, because I don't want to give up on the opportunity to have this topic addressed at a much deeper level with our students. Curriculum revisions. So as you know, throughout the summer, our staff have been hard at work in a variety of areas or on a variety of topics. In particular, they have been reviewing our existing courses to ensure that our topics pertaining to diversity, equity, and inclusion are taught explicitly. Far too often, I think we find ourselves in a position where we just glaze over certain topics because there's this assumption that people already know or people already understand because this topic is touched on repeatedly. We're moving more explicitly to ensure, or moving more aggressively to ensure that they're taught at much more deeply and much more explicitly with our students. As I shared previously, we have been reviewing the ISB course catalog. We have identified courses that we can use as supplemental courses to our existing coursework to give students choices. Those choices obviously will be linked to both cultural and other areas of focus and topic. The team has also been reviewing supplemental content materials, for example, novels that are used in our courses. And so they are making sure that our novel selections are more representative of our diversity in the students in which we serve, but that they're also supporting teachers and helping to transition to include and implement those integrate those, within their curriculum and their new teaching moving forward. That will take some time, but I know Jackie Johnson, who oversees our ELA programs, has been working very closely with Mr. Wetzel, who oversees social studies. Both those directors have been working very aggressively to review and make recommendations for new content, and you'll see some of those recommendations in the very near future. And that concludes the superintendent's report for this evening. Mr. Stevens.
Can you go back to page 99? You say community partners. Who are you talking about?
As I mentioned, that's that's our faith-based partners, and some of our community partners, such as the YMCA or Boys and Girls Clubs.
When you say faith-based partners, can you be more specific?
I will not at this time, no, sir.
But you're not going to let them divert you from your goal?
No, actually, they're being included for a very specific reason, because equality and religious equality is one of our topics within this group.
And sexual orientation and transgender students are not going to be able to divert us from our goal?
No, sir.
Thank you.
This is just the hiring committee, not the committee that drives the initiatives.
All right. All right, we are moving on then on our agenda. We're on item number 7. I had no one sign up for public participation in person or online. Legislative update. Any additional information? No. Okay.
Sorry, Madam President, nothing at this time.
All right, we're on discussion items. As in the past, these are items up for discussion. I'll read them. If anyone has a topic that you want to have specific discussion, please let me know. There has been backup information provided to us from staff on these. We have 2 weeks to come up with additional questions or review before these items are voted on. 9.1, board meeting minutes. 9.2, deletion of closed session recordings. 9.3, proposed changes to board policy. I do want to put out there that there were quite extensive changes that were in there, so be sure you read them. 9.4, disposal items. 9.5, for those that are listening and watching the board, I'm not just going whipping through these. I'm making sure that no one has questions. 9.5, treasurer's report. 9.6, employee insurance open enrollment software RFP. 9.7, roofing consulting services contract. 9.8, student literacy reader contract. 9.10, temporary storage facility contract. 9.11, therapeutic and behavioral intervention services. 9.12, Freedom of Information Act reports. Okay, I noticed that no one has an item for discussion under discussion items. That does not prevent anyone from having a discussion on any of these items at our next board meeting. If you have any questions before then, please send them to Mr. Hyde, and he will provide answers then to the entire board based on individual board members' questions. All right, moving on. I need a motion to approve the consent items. Second. Please call the roll.
Stevens. Aye. Miller.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Scarpino, aye. Lamarca.
Aye.
McNicholas.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we are on item 11. This is 11.1. These are our roll call action items. 11.1. I need an approval to display the strength training software curriculum that we were informed of today.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Dr. Scarpino, call the roll.
Scarpino, aye. Stevens.
Aye.
Zettler.
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
McNicholas,
Aye.
Lamarcus.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0.
Thank you. We are on item 11.2. I need an approval to display the 2020-2021 tentative budget and publish the public hearing notice. Second. Any discussion? Great. Dr. Scarpino, please call the roll.
Zettler. Miller,
Aye.
McNicholas,
Aye.
Lamarcus,
Aye.
Stevens, Scarpino, aye. Motion passes 6-0.
Okay, we are on item number 12. This is board discussion items. We heard from a lot from Board Finance and Board, the Construction and Facility Oversight Committee. But is there anything else from those committees or any other board discussion items?
I was not at finance, so Susan, do you want to have anything?
No, we had, everything that Susan discussed tonight was presented to the board in detail. So, and then the same goes for CFOC. And you want to talk about it at all or anything?
No, that's what I said earlier
Yeah.
about how great everything's going.
Yeah, yeah. And Dan presented that to us in detail. Great
And-
job.
Thank you. Mary, do you have anything, any comments or discussion items?
Ms. McNicholas, Ms. Miller is asking if you have any questions or comments.
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, I just have one comment. I want to once again thank Mr. Hyde and staff for the incredible work that you are doing with all of the issues that we're faced with trying to educate our students remotely, dealing with every little idiosyncrasy that parents can absolutely come up with, the amount of effort that we are putting in, that you are all putting in to address every little concern. There's no way you're going to make everyone happy. Some people are just angry at the situation, but your response, the way that the team handles the parents and the students is in a very professional, positive manner. And I think it shows a lot of pride that you have and concern for our students. So we have the first day of school next week. It's not going to be like any other first day, but every first day is different and unique. But thank you to you, Fred, to staff, all of you. Thank you. We're going to make it. We're going to do it for our kids. We're not going to let anybody fall through the cracks.
The motto this year, Madam President, is we're going to May together.
We are all in this together. Okay, any other comments? Okay, motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you all.
Aye.
Thank you, Ms. McNicholas.
Thank you.
I misunderstood your question.